What's up, everybody? Welcome into the spread. NESN.com's football picks podcast. I'm NESN.com's Mike Cole. Joined as always by Ricky Doyle on my right, Andre Kenturian on my left. Gentlemen, how are we?
Good. Doing well.
Good. We are back to make our football picks, which is what I kind of just alluded to in the open there. We will make against the spread picks for the three best games on the docket this week. We also do our locks and upsets for week 4. We are nearly a quarter of the way through the NFL season. Although you wouldn't be able to tell it by looking outside, 90 degrees, a little weather talk for you guys.
It's good. It's you talked about how in our preseason show that because of global warming, all the months are shifted one month. We're still in August, right?
Yeah, almost into September. Yeah. It is kind of a bummer not to get off on a tangent, but I need some weather. Like it's through 3 weeks, it's been a little too sunny, a little too dry. We're finally, hopefully we start to get in October, we get some rain, some wind, a little chillier.
Yeah, what's the most that we've seen, like, from an elements perspective?
The Packers-Broncos game had some rain.
The Seattle game, right? Did that have some rain this past week? Chris Carson was slipping all over the place.
Yeah. Other than that, not a whole lot.
But that's typical of Seattle anyway.
Yeah,
you know
right.
What I mean? So.
Yeah.
I do know one particular viewer from last week was not happy about all this weather talk, birthday talk, just... Potpourri, is that the word?
Potpourri, yeah, sure.
They'd rather just get us into the picks, right?
Not like there's...
What's the quote? What's the comment?
So you gotta take the good with the bad.
Yeah, right. I mean, so stop
Stephanie
sucking.
McCarter.
So stop talking so much and get to the
bleeping point. I mean, you can.
Video starts off with 5 minutes of wasting my time. So I mean, we're only about 2 minutes into wasting your time right now. If only there was. I mean, Jesus Christ! I don't want to get off on. He's just. Making fun of people who watch our show. We're very appreciative of that.
No, she makes a great point. Issue.
Literally, all the picks are on the screen, and you can just scroll through it. Like, if you don't want to listen to us babble like idiots, then just move on. I don't know.
But we encourage you to listen to the babbling.
Yeah. No, I think it adds a little certain je ne sais quoi to
now you're going all French on me. I don't know.
Oui.
How you say potpourri?
Potpourri. All right.
How are we doing week 3?
It was a terrible week for me. I went 6-10. Mike and Ricky both went 8-8. And honestly, it could have been better for me. 6-10. Like I called that Steelers 49ers game. I called that game the way it was supposed to go.
I came in here. You had a real hair across your keister today.
Yeah, James Conner couldn't run the ball. The Steelers couldn't move the ball. They couldn't do anything with the ball. And 49ers get the ball back, march down the field, red zone turnover. Jimmy Garoppolo fumbles a snap. That's what I could have easily won. And the Eagles with all their drop balls, Cospian teasers everywhere.
That is true though. There were a lot of games that the final score wasn't really indicative of how the game played out.
Yeah.
I mean, even
the Bills out had maybe 200 or 300 more yards than the Bengals did.
The Jets. That Patriots game
Bengals
and then the Dolphins, those two big spreads.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't have been shocking if the Dolphins found a way to cover that. And the Patriots almost.
When does Tom Brady sit in the blowout?
It was wild. There's like 8.5 minutes left when they took him out. It's nuts. That calf injury, I guess, creeping up on him. He was on the injury report last week. All right, so yeah.
New week.
Yeah,
on to the next one.
I have. I don't have it up right now, but we all did pretty well last week on our show picks as well. I finally got a lock with the Chicago Bears coming through last night. Ricky, you're 0-3 on your locks this year. That seems hard to do, but we're all in the same boat.
You always suck on locks.
Yeah,
we've explained it ad nauseam.
I would fade the locks. I would fade the locks.
Yeah, we are.
I never feel great about that.
No, you're always the last one to put them in. Next week, he was
second today.
Second today.
We're 2-7 in our locks this year.
That's not good. We got to turn that around.
We're 5-4 in our.
But as we've explained before, there are a lot of these games when we do the 3 best games of the week that I feel better about them.
Correct.
But so they're eliminated from lock contention.
We agreed with everything on the 3 best games. So we got the Ravens right.
Yeah, we all went 2-1 on our big 3 picks last week.
What was the other game we did? The
Chargers,
Sunday night game. Chargers, Texans, 1-1,
and then the Sunday night game.
2-1. Yeah, 2-1. So very, very good. Very nice. Very nice.
Cool. All right. Now that we've got our 5 minutes of blabber out of the way, let's get into week 4. We will start Sunday afternoon in Detroit.
French theme.
Yes. The Motor City, as it's called. At Ford Field, the Lions will host the Kansas City Chiefs. Lions coming off a relatively impressive win on the road at Philly. I guess there's nothing relatively about that. You win a game on the road in the conference. That's a good win. And they come home and take on the Chiefs, who survived, I guess is the way to put it. And the Chiefs kind of got out to a big lead against Baltimore, held on, didn't cover. The public right now, as it stands, the Chiefs, are 6-point favorites here. The total's 54.5. The public, last time I checked, all over Kansas City here, which is to be expected, even though they are laying a touchdown on the road. Andre, how do you feel about this one?
I'm going to go with the Chiefs. Andrew Siciliano of DirecTV's Red Zone channel joked that the Chiefs were in the red zone when they were in their own 20. And the very next play, McCole Hardman had just that big touchdown. Yeah. It's not a joke. The Chiefs are always in the red zone. It's unbelievable. They're averaging 7.6 yards per play. Detroit, I think they're very overrated going into Week 4. They're 2-0-1, but this is a team that blew a huge lead against Arizona. Should have lost to the Chargers had the Chargers not chargered. They in the last 4 drives of that Chargers-Lions game, the Chargers fumbled, missed 2 field goals, and then threw an interception. And also the Chargers had 2 long touchdowns called back by penalties also in that game. And the Eagles had all those drop balls. They had 5 drop balls per Pro Football Focus. This Lions team could be 2-1 instead of 2-0-1 very easily. And the Chiefs' biggest weakness is their rush defense. Kerryon Johnson doesn't really scare me much. The guy's averaging 2.6 yards per carry. And for what it's worth, the Lions are last in the special teams on Pro Football Focus.
Yeah, which is weird. I don't
know what that means either.
They took a kick to the house last week.
They did.
Go ahead.
I don't know what the Lions do particularly well. I feel like they're a very middle of the pack team in just about every statistical category, or no matter how you look at them. It's just like a very mundane team, which is why when we looked at that division at the beginning of the season, it was like, I don't want to necessarily write them off, but I just couldn't find a path for them to compete in that division. So in this game, I'm with you, Andre. I like the Chiefs. You mentioned all the big plays. I think they're positioned for more big plays this week. Lions, 20th in opponent yards per completion. They've surrendered 14 pass plays of 40-plus yards. Only 5 teams have allowed more. 20-plus yards have allowed 4 pass plays of 40-plus yards. Only 3 teams have allowed more. So I think you could see more of the same from the Chiefs this week. I also like the matchup there with Andy Reid going up against the Matt Patricia-led defense. I mean, we saw what they did to the Patriots defense when Matt Patricia was the defensive coordinator there. So maybe there's some carryover to him being in Detroit now. I don't know. I just don't know necessarily the path to victory if you're the Lions. I would guess it would be trying to exploit that lackluster run defense of Kansas City. But as you mentioned, Andre, I don't know if they have the horses to do it. So while it's a lot of points to lay on the road, I feel pretty good about it. I actually really like the Chiefs in this game.
Yeah. My friend Ricky says he can't see a path to victory for the Lions.
What's the path to victory?
Doesn't matter. There's no path to victory. We're not looking for a winner here. We're looking against the points.
I don't see the path to that either.
I'm going to take the points. I think the Kansas City defense is not any better than it was last year. They are allowing 6.2 yards per carry on the ground this year.
Kerryon Johnson's
they're last in the NFL by a full yard. But that's hard to imagine when we're dealing with 5 or 6 yards.
It's hard to run the ball if you fall behind 21-0 in the first quarter.
Yeah, I just think that they have enough to keep it relatively close. And even if it's not relatively close, I think there's enough big play issue on that Kansas City defense where they find a way back into it. And even if they leave the door open late, they leave the back door open and they slide in that way, I think it's just too many points for me in this regard. It's again too. The fact that I'm going that much against the public, I love as well. Detroit, for all of its issues, the offensive line has been fantastic this year. They haven't allowed a sack the last 2 weeks. That's against the Chargers and out on the road against Philly, 2 teams that are supposed to have pretty good pass rushes. It's actually the first time since 2011 that they've done that. They went 10-6 that year. I don't think they're necessarily good, but I just think there's certain matchups like that where they kind of matches up well for them. I also think Kansas City might be in a weird schedule spot here. A big game last week against Baltimore. They've got a primetime matchup next week against Indianapolis. Maybe you get kind of caught in between having to go on the road here. Feels like some weird stuff can happen in that 1 o'clock slot for Detroit. And also, maybe Stafford, I don't love him. I never really have. But they've got some weapons on the outside for him as well. And I think this is the best passing attack that Kansas City's faced all season. They played Jacksonville in week 1. Foles went down. Gardner Minshew came in and dinked and dunked him to death. They had Derek Carr, and last week Lamar Jackson, who at times last week looked relatively inept passing the football. So I think Stafford's I think he's the best passing quarterback of that 4. Obviously, you'd rather take Jackson overall, but I think this is a passing attack they haven't really had to slow down yet. So I think there's a chance here for this to be a shootout, and if it's going to be a shootout, I'll take the points.
Chiefs' offensive line not bad either.
I'm not sitting here and saying that they're going to win the game, and I don't even think. I think there's a chance that they cover the number in like the last 5 minutes. It's too many points for me to lay on the road here. I guess for a Chiefs team that hasn't really. I don't know. I don't want to discredit the Baltimore win, but I don't know.
They were up big, and
I just want to see more.
Ravens got 2
it's
garbage
really
time touchdowns.
Yeah, all right then. Fine. Who's to say that can't happen this week?
I'm just saying, like, the Ravens are run-centric. That's all they do. And against a crappy rush defense like the Chiefs, they're going to be successful.
I mean, the Lions haven't had success.
Kerryon Johnson is averaging 2.5 yards per carry.
I mean, they haven't had success running the football this year. But, like, he's done it in the past, too. I mean, he did last year. So it's not, like, completely, they're not running you between the tackles.
But he makes a good point. He says that Chiefs are going to be up big early. And
I still don't think. I mean, yeah, sure. If they're up 30-0 at halftime, I don't like my chances here. But
Lions could be without Darius Slay. Could be without Mike Daniels.
The thing I will say, if you're looking for, I did my research on Detroit first. They might have to go to Mike Ford, who's their, I think they're like third-string cornerback. Oof. If Slay's hurt,
opposing. That's not bad. That's not good against the Chiefs.
Opposing quarterbacks last year had 128.6 passer rating targeting Ford. He's been better this year, but he hasn't played much. So something to keep in mind. I don't know. I'm just giving all the information.
I like it. Next game. Or you have to add something?
No, I didn't have anything to add.
Go ahead.
But nothing the Lions have done this year. Like I'm more apt to discredit the Lions' accomplishments to this point than the Chiefs. I mean, that game against the Eagles was a layup based on all the injuries and the drop balls and everything. And then you almost give a game away to the Cardinals in Week 1.
They should have lost to the Chargers.
Oh, it's just
nothing
they've done.
They're 2-0-1. They're undefeated, but we can all say that they're still the worst team in the NFC North.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Right.
Still don't know how well coached they are. Like dating back to last year, I don't know.
I wonder.
I'm not sold on that, Patricia.
I do think. I mean, you wouldn't get an answer from this, but I'd like to ask Patricia how much of an advantage he thinks. Like, I know that his defense has looked bad at times against the Chiefs, but I wonder what he. I mean, he knows stuff. You know what I mean? They average like 35
points a game with Alex Smith as the quarterback against them. So they got to think they're going to hang 70 on him this week.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Who knows? All right. Also 1 o'clock window. Divisional matchup. 2 undefeated teams. It sounds a lot cooler when you put it that way. Patriots going to Orchard Park, take on the Bills. The Patriots 7-point favorites here. The total sits at 42.5 last time I checked. Again, another one where a ton of money coming in on the Patriots as it stands right now. Weather doesn't seem to be an issue. Bills fans are blowing their heads off with fireworks and putting people.
Yeah, they're getting rowdy again.
Opening cans.
It's coming back.
There's some videos out there this week that show that
kick it up a notch.
They're rowdy, they're ready, but we've seen this before. So, Ricky, where are you standing with this one?
So I mean, we've spoke several times about the Bills' defense. There's the number of guys that they're returning this year, and it's legit. It's an elite defense, but I don't know. It can compensate for their mediocre, turnover-prone offense when you're playing most teams in the NFL, but not the Patriots. Bills still turn the ball way too much. 6 times in 3 games. Only 4 teams have done so more. If you do that in this game, you give the Patriots short fields, which the Bills have done consistently this year. If you go back to Week 3 of last season, the Bills' defense has faced 29 drives beginning on their own side of the field. The Patriots have only had 14 such drives on defense. So if this gets into a battle of field position, obviously that favors the Patriots, and I could just see them putting up points early and often. It's just I know that for as much as I like the Bills' defense, I got to side with the Patriots on this one.
I agree with you. I don't get how it's 7 points. I love this. Go to the bank, withdraw every dime you have, and go all in on the Patriots in this game. This is a team that hasn't allowed a defensive touchdown since the AFC Championship. A 2-yard run by Damian Williams of the Chiefs. It's been January. It's just amazing. I know people always talk about that. That's just an incredible stat. And then Bills or 4-33 against the Patriots in their last 37 games. Just a random stat. 2 of those games Brady didn't play. That's funny. Patriots' last 9 wins over the Bills. Average margin of victory is 14.7 points. Patriots' pass rush is amazing this year. They lead the league in sacks with 13, second in QB hits. Their defense this year is one of their best we've ever seen. And of course, Josh Allen making his 15th career start. You know what that means. Patriots against the quarterbacks with fewer than 20 starts since 2016.
Put up a board or something at this point? Where
No, I just have to update the spreadsheet every week because every week the Patriots play a quarterback that has fewer than 20 starts under their belt. 10-4 against the spread, 14-0 straight up since 2016 when they play quarterbacks fewer than 20 games of experience. And Josh Allen is making his 15th.
I do think the Bills' offense is getting better.
Yeah, but
on the whole, like I don't think Josh Allen's that bad. I mean, they're obviously at a point now where they're not chucking it up downfield and praying for the best like they
beat the
did
Jets,
for most
Giants,
of
and
last season.
Bengals.
Like, I think there's some rhyme or reason to their offense now. I think he's growing a little bit as a passer. They're growing as a unit, but still, just too many mistakes. I mean,
Sweep?
I think they're going to beat the hell out of them.
Yeah.
I there are reasons to like Buffalo here, most notably because of the Patriots' injuries. I think not having James Devlin, like the Patriots are one of the only teams, maybe the only team in the NFL where you lose your fullback, and it's a big deal. The running game has been terrible this year. They're 3.2 yards per carry. That's 28th in the NFL. You know, Sony Michel looks like a different player without James, or just in general. And now without James Devlin, it's going to be tough. You know, Julian Edelman might not play. He's got that chest thing going on. Josh Gordon's banged up. So, like, not having Edelman and Devlin, those are, like, their 2 most valuable offensive players not named Tom Brady. You can make the argument at least. Again, it's kind of weird as you say. Like, I guess James Devlin isn't that important, but he was integral to their rushing attack last year. And we take Julian Edelman away, it's much harder to kind of pick up those 3rd and 6 and 3rd and 7s. That being said, like, where do the points come from? I mean, we're going to sound like broken records by the end of the season, but like, where do the points come from for the Buffalo offense? You know, you didn't have Devin Singletary last week. Who knows if he's going to be able to go, and if he is, how healthy is he going to be? You know, is Frank Gore running into that line going to really get the job done for Buffalo? Josh Allen, you know, geez, man, like, clean it up. 3 interceptions this year. He's fumbled 4 times, and this is the toughest defense he's faced all season. I think you touched on that, Andre. One of you guys did. Jets, Giants, Bengals. That's not great. I thought this was interesting, you know, in their game grades or whatever, Pro Football Focus said of Allen, he's got a tendency to simply throw the ball in the air and hope his guy made a play. That's not good against the New England defense that has 6 takeaways this season. A bad wide receiver group. They're 2nd in the NFL in drops, only to Philadelphia, we talked about. And I think it's one of those things, too, where, like, if you're the Patriots, what's the one thing you don't want to have happen? It's Josh Allen running wild. He's 1st in the NFL in scrambling this year. But he's 23rd. This is according to Pro Football Focus. He's got the 23rd worst passer rating when kept clean. So I think if you're the Patriots, it's just like, let's, you know, go with our assignments on the pass rush, not, you know, just keep the pocket intact almost and make him stand back there and turn him into a thrower. And if that's going to be the case, I don't think they have much of a chance at all. And I mean, geez, how many times have we had this thing happen too, where it's September, October? It's exactly September. A little story time with Mike here. I equate this to, this is going to sound ridiculous, WWE Hell in a Cell is coming up.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was in Boston a few years ago, and I just remember watching the Buffalo Bills and New England Patriots play.
3-0.
Were they 3-0?
Yeah.
It was the same exact
We did
weekend.
the game on the spread on 2 years ago?
2 or 3, whatever it was.
It was the year the Bills made the playoffs.
Maybe, yeah. And so everybody's jazzed up. Patriots go in there and stomp them out. And it just feels like, I know it hasn't happened 100 times, but it feels like it has. So
it has happened. Here it is.
I mean, get ready to hear the story about, you know, Tom Brady has more wins in Buffalo than 46 of the 50 quarterbacks in that franchise's history, et cetera, et cetera. So.
And it's just, I mean, just all the messaging. Like you mentioned the injuries, so like there is a way there where you could make the case for the Bills in this one, but then it's one of those things where everything plays out on Sunday, and you look back and you're like, why wasn't the spread higher?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't see where the points are coming. You know, where they're coming from if you're Buffalo. I mean, the Patriots, 35% of their drives, defensive drives, have ended in a 3-and-out.
Yep.
I'm trying to find that game right
That's
now.
wild.
Did you find it?
No, I didn't. I'm an idiot. I don't know.
They were 6-5, and they got their doors blown off.
Was it?
They were 6-5.
Oh, maybe WWE mixed up the scheduling.
That was 2017.
It's ironic that I'm looking it up. This is great. It was 2016. It was October 30th. The Patriots went in as, let's see here. This is great stuff. 5.5-point favorites. They won 41-25. Yeah. And it wasn't even that close either.
It's one of those things, too, where, I mean, I'm not putting any stock into the home field advantage in this game because we've seen consistently the Patriots go in there and just dump truck them in their own venue. So,
anyway.
Yep. Okay. Sunday night. Right? This is
Sunday night football.
Yeah, this one looked a lot better a couple weeks ago, but the Cowboys go to New Orleans, make the short trip. I don't know.
That's pretty short.
Kind of go across the Gulf.
No, it's about an hour flight.
That's not bad. Yeah. Good little flight. Cowboys go to New Orleans.
Tropical
take on
storms
the Saints
this week?
I don't think so. No, there are
tropical storms cropping up left and right.
No, it's that type hurricane season.
It's hurricane season. With global warming, I mean.
I figured you would know.
No, there's nothing going on. I don't think so. Cowboys 3-point favorites on the road against the Saints. Totals at 46. About 2/3 of the money coming in on Dallas as it stands right now. Dallas took care of business last week against Miami. I think the Cowboys might be one of the 3 or 4 best teams in the NFL. And they take on a Saints team that, credit to them, they found a way to win in Seattle. That's on paper, if you look at that, you're like, what? Teddy Bridgewater? And that's one of those wins, too, for the Saints. It could be huge. Like, once they get Breeze back, it's like they banked one. Really out of
that was another one of those stupid games
they
had a kickoff touchdown, Saints did, and then a fumble. Yeah. Or sorry, was it a pick six or a kickoff touchdown?
I think it was a defensive touchdown.
It was like a fumble though.
I'll double check. Yeah.
It was they were up. They got 14 points, and it was like, how the hell did this happen?
Yeah. There was also instances of there was a dropped interception that could have came back to haunt them. Not only did the score not do this game any justice, but just like the overall result. I mean, Seattle outgained them 515 yards to 265 yards.
It was a fumble recovery in the end zone.
Yeah, come on. Like, Deontay Harris 53-yard punt return, and then it was the fumble recovery. All of a sudden, it's 13-7. And then Kamara gets that long pass. And it's like, once the Seahawks are trailing, that takes away their game plan because they're a running team.
All right, so who are you picking?
I'm taking the Cowboys after all that.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I'm not a big Saints guy right now because they don't have their quarterback. Listen to this stat: Tyron Smith, 206 snaps, 0 pressures allowed, according to Pro Football Focus. That offensive line is unreal right now. I think they've only allowed 2 sacks this season, and you know how you could calculate spreads with yards per play differentials. Yeah. If you do that with this game, which is basically Dallas's yards per play differential minus New Orleans' yards per play differential divided by a constant, which we use 0.15 or 0.2. If you use 0.15 and then give the home advantage to New Orleans, Dallas should be 16.5-point favorites in this one. So
that's insane.
I'm going to take Dallas in this. And what else?
Tyron Smith thing is interesting. Remember we sat here, I think it was last year or 2 years ago, when they lost him and just the day and night impact it had on that offensive line. That was when Adrian Claiborne went off for 5 sacks in a game or something.
Yeah.
And then they got crushed by the Eagles.
Yeah, there was that huge stretch.
And Teddy Bridgewater only averaging 6 yards per attempt. I mean, a lot of dink and dunks here. Also, the Saints' rush defense, it's not what it used to be. Last year, they're pretty strong. This year, they're allowing more than 5 yards per carry. And Ezekiel Elliott, I expect him to go off in this game.
I'm with you. I like the Cowboys well. For a lot of the reasons you mentioned, I like Pro Football Focus's grades. Cowboys, number 3 pass blocking, number 3 run blocking, which speaks to what you said about the offensive line. I also the Cowboys' ability to stay on the field and extend drives versus the Saints' ability to do so. Cowboys first in the NFL in third down conversion percentage, third in opponent third down conversion percentage. The Saints were just 3 for 11 against the Seahawks, and 20th in opponent third down conversion percentage on the season. There's nothing that I really saw with Teddy Bridgewater, quarterback, leads me to believe that they're going to be able to keep up in this game. And let's face it, Dak Prescott's playing some of the best football of his career right now. So I guess they're putting a lot of stock in the home field advantage here, but I'm just not seeing it.
Yeah, I have nothing else to add. I'm also going to take the Saints, the Cowboys. I think you go back to, was it week 13 they played last year? The game was in Dallas, but Cowboys suffocated defensively, held the Saints to 176 yards of total offense. Kamara had 72 all-purpose yards. They won that game 13-10.
Van Der Esch is coming out party.
Yeah, and to kind of Ricky's point, they absolutely dominated the time of possession, 37 minutes to 23. It's kind of hard to get going if you can't, if you don't have the ball in your hands. And I do think if Dallas scores early, this game might get away from New Orleans quick because I question how. I mean, I don't know. You give Teddy Bridgewater another week in the system of taking first team reps, maybe he kind of looks a little bit better, but he didn't look great last week despite the final score. And if this is one of the things where they fall behind early, I question how well they'll be able to kind of stage a comeback. So I just think Dallas probably focuses his game plan on taking away Kamara, and if Teddy Bridgewater beats him, then go crazy. But I just don't think that's going to happen. So I'll lay the points on the road again here. Kind of tough. You guys are doing it all 3 games.
Yeah, I know. I don't.
Is this the most likable Cowboys team?
There is no such thing as a likable Cowboys team.
I think this is the most likable Cowboys team. How do you not like a guy like
I just think I'm pretty indifferent when it comes to the Cowboys. I don't know.
Hey, next week is Cowboys-Packers.
I know. I will hate them next week, that's for sure.
It's gonna be
Remember that time where you...
Yeah, I do. And then they lost in the playoffs.
Yeah, you sent me about 50 text messages basically just laughing. I mean, I might still have them. It was very rude.
I was on a lot of alcoholic beverages that day. I apologize.
Was it the same season, too, that the Packers came back and won?
That was the
same season?
That was that same season.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. It was 2016.
Tough for you.
That was 3 years ago.
That's an L. Jared Cook, by the way, big catch in that game.
Yeah.
Now he's on the field this week for the Saints.
Oh.
So who knows? Something to keep in mind. Put that away.
Locks and upsets.
Ricky, who you got for lock?
Do we want to do this? We still want to do locks?
Yeah, that's a good point. Hey, but it's what everybody always says. Like, fine, maybe the picks aren't great, then fade them. Fade Ricky's lock.
Yeah, might as well. I like the Steelers.
Fade my lock. Fade all of them.
4-point favorites over the Bengals. The Bengals. I mean, they're putting up some offensive yards week to week, but they remain a terrible tackling team, terrible in coverage. A lot of the issues that they had last year are still evident this year.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. I don't see the Steelers falling to 0-4. Bengals also 0-9 straight up, 2-6-1 against spread road primetime games, whereas the Steelers 5-0 straight up in home Monday night games under Mike Tomlin, so there's a little bit of a track record there. I just think the Steelers will be able to get after the quarterback in this one. Bengals terrible offensive line as well, so I think the Steelers finally get a win.
I'll take the Panthers. Wait, that's my upset. Sorry, guys.
Jesus.
I'll take the Giants, 3-point favorites over the Redskins. We saw how bad the Redskins are against the pass yesterday. Mitch Trubisky looked like John Elway in the 90s.
He's so bad.
He was really good yesterday, Trubisky was. Yeah. Opposing quarterbacks have 9 touchdowns and 2 picks against the Redskins this year. Washington, they just turned the ball over a ton last week. I also think this is a good situation for Daniel Jones. Like, you're going to throw an overhyped rookie quarterback into his first start? Do it against Tampa Bay. It's a great place for him to start. He won. He's hyped up. Second game, Washington. This is another good game for Daniel Jones. Like, get his feet wet in the NFL against a bad defense. And it's a good spot for them. I know Saquon's not playing, but the Redskins still allow nearly 5 rushing yards per carry. So maybe the Giants still do find some success on the ground. Or maybe Daniel Jones takes off a lot.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the Colts, laying 7 at home against the Raiders. Have we talked about the Raiders' schedule right now?
Oh, it's
unreal. Yeah. So they're at Minnesota last week. They're at Indy this week. Then they're technically the home team next week against the Bears. The game's in London. Then they have a bye. Then they're at Green Bay. Then they're at Houston. They don't go home for a game for like 2 months. Unreal.
Week 10 or something, right?
Yeah, I don't know what that has to do with this week, other than the fact that it's just kind of it's not a great time to be a Raider. Yeah, it's a tough spot. These 2 teams played last year in Week 8. Indianapolis killed the Raiders. That was in Oakland as well, 42-28. Marlon Mack ran wild in that game, 25 carries, 132 yards, a couple scores. Oakland's run defense just got gashed for 200 yards. They might be without Vontaze Burfict. Maybe not. And even then, who cares? Like this Colts team continues to look good. Teddy Bridgewater is looking like a Pro Bowler.
Jacoby Brissett.
Jesus Christ. My brain is mush. No, I did it again. Jacoby Brissett. He looks good.
Brissett.
Yes, there's a lot. So the Bruh brothers. So I don't know. the Raiders might be back to being the team that everybody thinks is terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, they stink.
Upsets?
Yeah, why don't you start it off?
Everyone already knows. It's the Panthers or the Texans.
Spoilers.
5-point underdogs. I think they win this straight up. I think it's going to be a long day for Deshaun Watson. The guy's always pressured. He's been pressured on 55 dropbacks this year, more than anyone else in the league. The Panthers are third in sacks. So using logic, if one team is good at getting to the quarterback, another team is not good at protecting their quarterback, what's going to happen?
Right.
A lot of explosions for
Going to
Deshaun
beat at
Watson.
the quarterback.
Yeah, it's just poor guy's going to get pressured all day long. And also the Texans allow the second most rushing yards per carry, and Christian McCaffrey is a running back for the Panthers. He's a good running back.
True, yeah.
So if you have a defense that's not good against stopping the run,
facts.
and you have Christian McCaffrey running, I think it's a blowout. It's recipes of a blowout. You know, you got like Halloween's coming. You got the witch with the big black bowl putting
The
like
cauldron?
Cauldron. Putting all these ingredients. This is ingredients for an upset, and I like Carolina. I think they're huge underdogs here because of their quarterback. But he played well. Kyle Allen, he wasn't bad.
Yeah, might be some regression there. But
But not this week. Not this week.
Okay.
I'm going Vikings, 3-point underdogs over the Bears. You mentioned Mitch Trubisky improving
layup.
against
That's
the Redskins,
scary
but
line.
I mean the numbers looked better than he looked. He didn't necessarily throw the ball downfield really at all. I don't think that's going to work against a Vikings defense that's much better at tackling, much better in coverage. They can take away the run. I think the Bears' offense is more like the team that scored a combined 19 points against the Packers and the Broncos than it was in that first half against the Redskins. And they also stalled in the second half against the Redskins. So
It's gonna be a weird game.
What's the over-under on that
I
game?
think
I
that
know.
this is going to
38.
be
So low.
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit of a grinded out affair. You got the short week for the Bears coming off the Monday night game. Taylor Gabriel dealing with a concussion. Akeem Hicks suffering a knee
Did you just
injury.
forget Kirk Cousins is the quarterback for the Vikings?
I mean,
Is that defense?
so
On the
that tells
road,
me the
yeah.
Vikings
On the
have a
road.
quarterback advantage in this game.
Yeah, but the home team, Bears.
The Bears are home, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be a little bit of a revenge factor, too. Bears kept the Vikings out of the playoffs last year, final week, so who knows? I don't know. I still think the Vikings are the more well-rounded team here.
Yeah,
So you want to
Vikings-
give me points?
Dalvin Cook, another 100-yard rushing game last
Yeah.
week. Keeps proving me wrong.
You eating some serious crow over there.
He will not get 100 yards this week against the Bears.
Wow, bold. All right, I'm gonna take the Titans.
Just give you all good prop bets under 38, and Dalvin Cook under 100. Go ahead.
Titans getting 4 on the road at Atlanta. I think it's one of those things where the last thing we saw of the Titans, they looked absolutely putrid. Are they really that bad? Maybe not. I don't know. But they have the rest advantage here. Longer week after playing on Thursday. A lot going against the Falcons right now. They just lost Keanu Neal for the rest of the season again. That sucks. Grady Jarrett should be back. It sounds like he's going to practice the end of the week, but he's got a toe injury. You never know if that's going to creep back up. Tack McKinley should play, but he got dinged up with a knee as well. So that defense once again dealing with some issues defensively, and I wonder how disciplined Atlanta is. They have the second most penalty yards per game, third worst turnover margin, third worst third down defense, and the sixth worst special teams. So there's a lot going for them there. So I'll take my chances with the Titans. I don't feel great about it, but I would imagine they'll figure out some things in terms of pass pro after getting Marcus Mariota sacked 9 times last week.
To add on, the Falcons stink against the AFC.
Oh, yeah, that's a good
I
point
saw
too,
this
yeah.
earlier that the past 11 games against AFC opponents, they've gone 1-10 straight up and 0-11 against the spread.
Seems hard to do.
That's wild.
And AFC's not that strong, particularly.
Yeah, those are always interesting
Shoot,
stats
how
because
bad.
it's like that people kind of dismiss trends, and I do. I don't care what happened in like 1996. Like that doesn't really affect my picks, but like it is interesting. I want like how much of that is just perception, where if it's like they could have not covered the spread against a team like Tennessee, where people went in thinking like the Falcons are the much better team, and they don't live up to expectations. So I think it's interesting to I think that says more about the perception of the Falcons than anything else.
They're a good home team, though.
They are. They're much better at home. But even in that Philly game a couple of weeks ago, they didn't.
No.
They looked good early, but they tried like hell to give that game away. So.
Who's more of a generic average team that's middle of the pack and everything, Titans or Lions?
I think the Titans need to go to Ryan Tannehill at some point.
I think the Lions are better right now than the Titans are. I don't even think it's close.
If the Titans play
That's
the
a-
Lions,
oh
that
my
would be
God.
I think it's the
a very
Titans.
generic game.
Titans ceiling is higher, but that's like I would trust the Titans more than I would the Lions.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I said, that Lions offensive line's been really good. Mariota.
That strikes me as like a 16-13.
It's
Yeah.
also
that
Bill
ends on-
Belichick Bowl.
Yeah, that's
It's,
true.
Mike Vrabel versus Matt Patricia.
I do think if they lose this week, it's got to be Tannehill time. The
Mariota
Titans
looked
lose.
awful
Yeah, he
in that
looked
Thursday
terrible.
night game because I mean I don't know. I didn't think you mentioned how many sacks there were in
They
that
sacked
game.
9 times.
And a lot of that was on
His
him.
fault. Yeah.
Like he was just dancing around in the pocket, like just taking his sweet ass time.
Just run the ball, man. Just get back. I don't know.
It's like he had no concept
Not
of where
him,
guys
that
were
team.
around him. So
They do have good running attack.
Pound the rock. All right. Anything else, guys?
no,
No.
I got nothing.
Me
I have
neither.
nothing.
All right, let's get out of here. That's the spread. NESN.com's Football Picks podcast. Back again next week. Until then, if you're still listening, rate, review, subscribe on iTunes. I probably should have said that more earlier. The NESN Podcast Network, or subscribe to the NESN YouTube page if you're watching on YouTube. So we will see you again next week. Goodbye.